Hi there, radio freaks. This is Andromeda from the Pennines, VHF 88. This is real radio, none of your Piccadilly garbage. Andromeda, VHF 88. Wonderful, The Who. This is Andromeda Radio, VHF 88. And a rave from the grave, a rasp from the past. James Stannage. Good heavens, what is he doing on Andromeda Radio, you may well ask? Well, he knows a lot of very strange people, is the answer.
Andromeda.
This is Andromeda Radio, not Piccadilly. But as we're talking about Piccadilly, we might as well carry on. Have you heard Mike Sweeney lately? The voice of the oppressed, the voice of the mass ranks of working class people in Piccadilly land. It's just the same old con trick. Establishment attitudes with a working class accent. He makes the most reactionary statements I've ever heard, particularly about any groups of workers out on strike, trying to improve their measly living conditions. And the reaction of the so-called voice of the people, Piccadilly Radio, is to allow you absolutely no airspace whatsoever for a right of reply. Can't you just picture Sweeney, enveloped in a red flag with a clenched fist? Stuffed full of advertisers' money, of course. I can.
Andromeda Independent Radio.
This is Andromeda, your local community radio. If you want to write to us and tell us how wonderful we are, 26 Brown Street, Manchester. Andromeda Radio, here for you sporadically on VHF 88.
You're listening to Andromeda Independent Radio on 88 megahertz, community radio, free radio in Tameside. From the album A Trick of the Tail, that's Genesis and Robbery, Assault and Battery. Right, pencils or pens and paper at the ready. If the government has its way, locally elected representatives will have less say in how local bus and rail services are run and financed. A controversial transport bill is before Parliament, which could limit the ability of local authorities to subsidise public transport. If it becomes law, there could be large bus and rail fares increases, massive cuts in services, threats to cheap concessionary fares for the elderly and for children. The Greater Manchester Council wish to raise the strongest possible objection to the bill to persuade the government to change its mind. To do this, they need the help of all the people in the county. That means you. You can get in touch with the local transport action line on 247 3734. 061 if you're outside the Manchester area, of course. The number again is 247 3734, or you can write to Local Transport Action, care of County Hall, Piccadilly Gardens, Manchester M60 3HP, or of course you can write to us.
Andromeda, the sound of alternative radio.